Dr. Sandeep Budhiraja, the Director of Internal Medicine, will going to speak the next speech.
So hi, I'm speaking on a very different thing. Our colleagues have been talking about what achievements have happened in medical field and what is the latest technology. I am diversing a bit from that topic and increasingly the hospitals will be asked to use electronic health records. How can we make use of electronic health records to help ourselves improve our practice and to actually measure our results and give us the right outcomes? So essentially, what I'm going to talk about is use of clinical indicators in our practice. Now, clinical indicators are hardcore data, parameters, which can actually help you benchmark your practice as to how you are performing as compared to the best in the world. So, the indicators could help us tell what is needed that we should be doing to get the patients right. What has been done, is the process fine or do we need to fine tune our processes better? And are the results expected or the results are less or better than what the benchmark in the world says? And the results which come can then be used to individually refine our practice, can help the group perform better, can help the hospital perform better, and overall help the country perform better in their healthcare services. So this is one very, very important quality initiative for healthcare services. Now, any system which needs to be benchmarked or to be or outcomes to be followed, we have to follow a particular flow process. So you need to, in your clinical practice, identify certain outcomes which you want to measure, set the processes as to what you would do to measure the processes, and then see whether the outcomes are as expected or not. If the outcomes are suboptimal, then revisit your processes and try to then again benchmark your processes. Now, I'll be giving you a few examples of how we have been using these indicators in our clinical practice at Max. So, and most of these data gets collated automatically. You know, we are not spending any there's not too much of manpower or man hours which get wasted in this. Now, this is just to showcase an example as to people sitting in their outpatient practices. You have been advising a lot of investigations. Now, PSA is a controversial issue. I won't go into that part. But when we are talking about preventative services, all these departments do have patients where you are advising routine tests. So just to capture how many routine PSAs in males above 75 were captured, which has a bearing when we are talking about cancer screening. Similarly, for colonoscopy, now India unfortunately lacks clear-cut guidelines as to what should be the recommendation regarding routine colonoscopy, which in West does exist. So here we try to find out, using this data, as to number of patients who underwent colonoscopy, what was the outcome of, and mind you, this is routine colonoscopy in patients which come for reasons other than maybe a bleeding PR or whatever. So here what we see is that about 7 positive biopsies got picked up in people who are visiting routine medicine OPD over a period of 3-4 months. Now that is not a bad number. Similarly, outcome indicators. Now, we have oncology services. How are individual disease outcomes there? Now, each surgeon, each oncologist, each radiotherapist may feel that he or she is doing the best job. But the world literature is going towards saying that please quantify, please measure your data. And this is exactly the sort of a flow chart or a type of an Excel sheet which comes out when you're using electronic health records, which will measure your patients of, here the example is that of a cancer prostate. This is another example of cancer breast, where this gives you a distribution of various categories of CA breast patients who underwent different modalities of treatment and what their outcomes were. Now, this was very interesting. We conducted a study where we wanted to see whether a single versus a paired blood culture in patients coming to emergency department with fevers. And it clearly showed that paired blood cultures reduce the chance of false positive cultures, and increase the yield of true positive cultures. Highly statistically significant. And with this data, we actually changed our policy, and now every patient undergoes a paired blood culture and is not charged for two cultures. Patient is only charged for one culture. So this is an interesting data which comes up when you are using these data to analyze. This is called data analytics. Another thing we have done is to help our physicians is we have mapped the antibiograms into our electronic health records. So if I as a physician have a patient in one of the medical ICUs admitted with urine tract infection and urosepsis, the system will give me an alert telling me what are the top 5 organisms which could be the causative organisms in my patient, and what are the top 5 best antibiotics which are going to work in this patient. So this has a huge implication when we are talking about empirical initial antibiotic therapy after the cultures have been drawn but the results are not yet out. And of course, once the results are out, you will de-escalate. So this is the type of results or format we get into our electronic health systems, which help our physicians shortlist the initial empirical antibiotics. And now the last protocol which we are very actively working on is a routine VTE prophylaxis. Now, unfortunately, what we see is that the hospitals are using the VTE prophylaxis very less often. And in fact, the guidelines which come, clearly we know that each patient who is admitted in hospital should have a VTE evaluation. Risk for venous thromboembolism has to be done. And if the patient fits into a moderate to high risk category, an adequate prophylaxis must be given. Now, this was just a pilot we did before initiating the program, and we found that the utilization of this prophylaxis is just about 35 to 38%. That means 60 to 70% of the patients, deserving patients, are still not being given VTE prophylaxis. And this particular graph is taken from a hospital in US, where again they showed a similar poor rates of VTE prophylaxis, but with the alerts through the system of electronic health records and manual alerts, the utilization of VTE prophylaxis significantly improved to almost 100%. So this is the journey presently we are embarking on. This is the sort of a format which we have, and the physician is just supposed to tick on one of the 3 options of low risk, moderate risk, and high risk. And if the patient fits into moderate risk and high risk of VTE, an automatically system alert gets generated and the patient is given low molecular weight heparin or a compression stocking, whichever is required, unless until there is a contraindication. And this is the sort of information flowcharts and standees which we placed all across the hospitals. And interestingly, in just 2 months period, we have seen a 3-fold increase in utilization of either low molecular weight heparin or compression stockings, just by increasing this awareness and generating this electronic alert through our electronic health system. Now, this is just the last slide, where I've tried to show that in last 2 months, using this process and protocol, how different departments have fared. Some departments have still not performed very well, but there are departments where there's significant increase. And I'm sure if we persist with these types of alerts and quality initiatives, our patient community is going to benefit a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Lalit Maini on the stage, please.